Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Dipankar, and in this video we are going to look at the send response transformations of the integration procedure and the debug log. And this is an important aspect of the Salesforce Omnistudio developer exam. If you are preparing for it, you should know all these concepts, right? So let's go to our Omnistudio org and do our answer. So basically, if I click on preview, right, there is an integration procedure where let's try to see what I'm trying to execute here. So basically it gives me a step one. Inside the step one, all these details over here. And if you see, there is also some debug logs. We are going to use it in some time. Let's go back to the properties panel. Let's go to this datarptor transform action. And here we can see we are sending some JSON path, right? What this send JSON path is. So if I come to here, I mentioned that the send JSON path is used to specify the node of the data JSON. That means this is the node that we are going to send to this particular datarptor transform, right? So basically, if I open the datarptor transform, if I come to the input, right, or maybe to the preview, it takes two nodes, account details and contact details, right? So if let's suppose I don't send the JSON path, let me cut this for now and try to preview it. Basically, I am not getting the data that is expected. And the second thing is that why I am not able to get the data. So to debug this, the first thing we need to come to here and click on this drop down. The first thing we need to click is the execution sequence. So execution sequence means the sequence in which the actions has been executed. So we can see the extract action 1 has been executed first and followed by the datarptor transform action 1. So basically this datarptor transform has been executed, but it does not gives us the expected result. And how do we confirm this? We can confirm this by seeing the output for this, and we can see what the input that we are passing to it. So if I see the inside the input, we are passing the first parent node as datarptor extract action 1, followed by account details and then the contact details, right? But if you come to here, it does not understand this datarptor extract action 1 node. It has directly account details and contact details that it takes as input, right? So that's the reason we are using this send JSON path. And the second thing, what is this send JSON node? Let's suppose you want the datarptor extract action 1 and you want to send it by renaming to something, right? Let me try to rename it to extract data, or maybe name to rename it to dr extract. So when I write dr extract over here, so what it will do is the datarptor extract action 1 will be renamed to dr extract. And now if I come to preview and execute it, I am again not getting the data, right? So let's go to the debug again for the datarptor transform action 1, and it says it takes the dr extract, right? And that's the reason it's not giving us the expected output. So if you want to fix it, let's try to fix it inside the datarptor transform. So how do we use this dr extract? Let's come over here and let's try to click on execute. It gives the same data, but what we are trying to do is that we want to create a formula, right? So let's create a formula. So what we'll see, if this datarptor extract, let me paste the node. If this dr extract node is present, then account details, right? Then we have to send the account details, right? And how we can send the account details? We can send as dr extract colon account details, and that node should be account details, right? And if you see over here, account details is being referred over here, the top. So basically we also have to drag it over here to the top. And similarly for the contact details, right? So let me copy it and add a new formula. Let me come over here, and for the contact details, that should be contact details, and we will rename it to contact details. And if this dr extract is not present over here, what we can do, we will give this as account details. Same thing for this particular node as well. So now if I try to click on preview and try to test if this is working or not, I should be seeing the expected result, because if the datarptor extract is not present, then the account details node would be account details and the contact details node will be contact details. Let me try and click on preview. Now I am getting the expected result over here, and from this integration procedure I should also be able to get the expected data that I am getting over here. Let me try and click on execute. If you see here, I am getting the step 1, I am getting the account data, but for this contact details I am not able to get this, right? And I suspect the main reason is that we are not getting it as a list, right? So let's try to figure that out as well. So for this contact details, we want to pass this contact details as a list, right? So I'll got this for now. There is some list function, and inside the list I'll pass this dr extract contact details, and let's verify that nothing breaks over here. So I'm getting the contact details here as a list, and if I click execute here, I'll get the expected result as well. So that is all about send JSON node, right? The next thing is response JSON path. Response JSON path, let's say I am getting the response here as step 1, right? So if I want to trim the data, right, so what I can do is I'll name it as step 1, and if I now try to execute it, the step 1 should not be there, it should be something else. Let's try to execute it. Now you can see the step 1 is gone, right? So that's about response JSON path. And similarly, response JSON node is the name of the node you want to rename. So let's try to rename is dr transform response. Now there is a thing, you can pause the video for a second and try to guess if you will able to get the expected result or not. Alright, so let me try to execute it. So now we are not getting the expected result, right? That's because in the response action I have renamed it as dr transfer datarptor transform action 1, but the response we are getting is dr transform response. Let me copy this and let me try to paste it over here, and if I click on execute, we are getting the same data over here, right? So basically let me go to the datarptor transform action. Here you can see we are getting the same data, but let me try to make this rename again, right? So this should be under a node that should be known as step data. Let me try to make it a step data. So what I'll do is I'll write a colon and I'll write step data. So basically what will happen over here is that all this JSON will be inside a parent node, and that node is known as step data. Let me click on execute. If you see, this step data is the parent node and everything is inside the step data. So that is about response JSON node, right? And there is a third thing that is called as additional output, right? Actually this is a best practice that you always should follow. Click on this return only additional output and add a key value pair. So basically if I want to give an output response, let me rename it to something else, additional output, right? So I'll have to cut this one, and in the effects you have to use the more syntax. I have to paste it over here, click this and try to execute it. So now step data, right? The step data, whatever the data I am getting from here, right, it should be as additional output. Let me click on execute. So now I am getting the additional output, right? But this dr transform response is giving me step data. So if I want to trim the step data, right, and I want to just make it as additional output, what I need to do is that I have to give it as step data. And now if I click on execute, this step data should be gone and all these things, right, should be directly under additional output, right? And let me see if we again want to execute the step data. Instead of additional output, I can write step data over here, and now this additional output will not be present. Instead it will be replaced by step data name, right? And let's say I only want to you get this industry node, right? So let as an additional output, so what I can do, I'll name as the it as industry, and again in the merge syntax, right, I will copy this one. The industry value should be industry, or let me try to um, rename it as industry name. So basically now what will happen, along with the step data you will again get a additional node over here, and that should be industry name. Let's try to execute this. Let's try to collapse this, and you can see there is also something known as industry name, right? And the third thing was, let's say I want to execute it from the flexcard, right, or integration procedure, or maybe from the both, right? So basically if I am trying to execute it from the omniscript, there is a step in omniscript, so I will pass everything inside the step data. But if I want to execute it from the flexcard, let's say I want to add an additional parameter, I'll say call from flexcard, and if I make it as true, I should not see the step data. So now let's try to make it as conditional. So let's go to this response section and try to copy this, right? So I'll come over here, I'll drag this to top, and there is something called execution conditional formula, and in the execution conditional formula I have to write the condition, right? And one more thing, if I am trying to do this, basically it's not letting me write, but let me try to see if I can do something over here. I don't see execution formula, right? Here one thing I can do, if this call from flexcard double equals to true, then you want to execute this response action 1, right? So this is the execution conditional formula, and if I execute this, basically I don't need to send all these additional outputs, right? What I'll do, I'll just come over here and I will copy this response JSON node and I'll send this data. So basically there will be no step data present over here, it will be directly inside a node. Let me try to execute it. You can see there is no node, but let me try to make it false. So what will happen in that case, the response action y1 will not be executed, instead the action 2 will be executed. So let me try to execute it, and inside here I will be able to get a parent node as step data. Let me try to execute. You can see you are able to get it. And let me copy this and delete this node. Even if you delete this node, still you will be able to see this thing, right? And if I wanna add it again and make it to true, if I click on execute, you will be able to see everything inside the parent node. There will be no outer parent node for this, right? So this is all about how you can effectively use the send response transformations, right? And again additional output and the debug log here as well. So that's it for this video. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.